Hi guys, we're going to talk about the small intestine, and then in another part we'll talk about the large intestine. But your warm welcome is, why is the small intestine called the small intestine? We're going to get into that. So, 15.9 is all about your small intestine. It is a long tubular organ which runs from your stomach to the beginning of your large intestine. It fills a large part of your abdominal cavity. The functions of your small intestine, we've talked about it a lot, how it receives chyme, and we've talked about the duodenum a lot. You've heard that. It receives pancreatic juices from the pancreas and bile and liver and the gallbladder. If you watched the lesson 8 video, you heard about that. Oh boy, there we go. It finishes digestion of nutrients that arrive in the chyme, so it absorbs the rest of the nutrients in your body. It absorbs digestive end products and transports the remaining residue into your small intestine or large intestine. So your small intestine consists of 3 parts: your duodenum, your jejunum, and your ileum. Your duodenum is the shortest, most fixed portion of your small intestine. It's the part where your stomach empties the chyme into. So it's the very top part of your small intestine. The duodenum makes up approximately 2/5 of your small intestine, so this is the largest part, and has a slightly larger diameter than the ileum, and is more active in the digestive process. So the duodenum is the very small part. There's a small part right at the very beginning, and then the main part of your small intestine is the jejunum, and then you have your ileum, which is the most distal portion. They are suspended from your posterior wall, abdomen wall, by a double layer fold of peritoneum called mesentery. The mesentery contains your blood vessels, your nerves, your lymphatic vessels that serve in your intestinal wall. And you have a greater otium, which drapes over the intestines. It's a double layer fold of the peritoneal membrane. All right, so here's our stomach. This small right here, the smallest part, is your duodenum. You have all of this. About right here is your jejunum, and you have your ileum from here to your small intestine. This little organ right here is your appendix. This is your mesentery. And so it has structures. So your inner wall of your small intestine is lined with finger-like intestinal villi. They're just little, like, they do kind of look like a finger, but they sit there and wiggle, which greatly increases the surface area available for absorption and aids in mixing actions. Each villus contains a simple columnar epithelial with a core of connective tissue, so it houses your blood capillaries and lymphatic capillaries called your lacteal. And then your blood capillaries and your lacteal transport and absorb your dietary nutrients out of the alimentary canal. Remember, your alimentary canal is just your digestive tract. Between the base of the adjacent villi and are tubular intestinal glands, and your epithelial cells lining the small intestine replace every 3 to 6 days. So here is another picture of your intestines. This stuff that looks, these folds right here, are what hold your intestines where they are. It's your mesentery. So your liver your lesser otium, your pancreas, your stomach. Your pancreas is right there. Your duodenum, which is the first part of your small intestine. Your peritoneum, your transverse colon, your greater otium, your mesentery, your small intestine, your peritoneal cavity, and then your bladder, and then your rectum is right there. Okay. This is the shape of your little villa in your body. It really does look like a finger. Or like those squiggly mats that you can put in your bathroom. I don't really know what texture that's called. This is the breakdown of this. I won't really ask you much about it. This is what they look like in your body. Here's one right here. There's an intestinal gland. Alright, so you have secretions of your small intestine. Mucus is the main one. It is secreted by your small intestine by the goblet cells, which are abundant through the mucosa, and mucus-secreting glands located in your submucosa of your duodenum. Watery fluid, which carries digestive products into the villi, secreted by your intestinal glands at the base of your villi, and then your enzymes are secreted by your epithelial cells of your mucosa and embedded into their microvilli. Your enzymes are pepside, which breaks down the peptides into amino acids, sucrose, maltose, and lactose, which break down the dicitrates to monocitrates, and then your intestinal lipase, which breaks down your triglycerides to fatty acids and glycerol. So here is your chart. It's just a summary of those major digestive enzymes. Your salivary amylase, which is from your salivary glands, it begins your carb digestion. Your pepsin, it's from your gastric chief cells, which begins your protein digestion. Your pancreatic amylase, which comes from your pancreas, breaks down starch. Your pancreatic lipase, breaks down fatty acids, and your 3 pancreatic growtotic enzymes, trypsin, come from your pancreas, and they break down proteins in partially digested they break down proteins. Your nucleolus, which comes from your pancreas, which breaks down your nucleic acid into nucleotides. Your peptides, which comes from your intestinal mucus cells, it breaks peptides into amino acids. Your sucrose, maltose, and lactose comes from your intestinal mucous cells, which breaks down your dicitrates into monocitrates. Your intestinal lipase, which also comes from your intestinal mucosal cells, breaks down fatty acids. And then your endokinesis, which also comes from your intestinal mucosal cells, converts your trypsin and trypsinogen into trypsin. The absorption that happens in your small intestine is major. There's very few absorption nutrients reach distilled at the end of the small intestine. So your monocitrates are absorbed by your villi. Your amino acids are absorbed into the blood capillaries. Your fatty acid and your glycerol from triglyceride diffuse into your villi. So you have endoplasmic reticulum of the cell, which use the fatty acid to resynthesize that triglyceride. Your triglyceride collects in a cluster that becomes encased in a protein to become thymocorns. Thymocorns are absorbed by lacteals and traveled through your lymphatic system until they eventually join the bloodstream. Chemicals transport dietary fats to muscle and adipose tissue, which is just your fat tissue. You have your VDLs and your LDLs, which is very low density lipoprotein and low density lipoprotein. It's what your cholesterol is. So it's molecules produced by the liver. It transports triglycerides synthesized from excess dietary carbs. Your LDLs is consisting mainly of cholesterol. Your cells in your peripheral tissue remove your LDLs from your plasma. And your high DLs, or high density lipoproteins, remove cholesterol from the tissue and return it to the liver. So when somebody says they have high cholesterol or bad cholesterol, they have too much high density lipoproteins. The intestinal villi also absorbs your water by osmosis and electrolytes by diffusion and active transport. Right. So here is another one I think you have to fill out. So your monosaccharides, your amino acids, your fatty acids, and glycerol, your electrolytes in your water, how they diffuse, and by what means. So your movement of your small intestine, you have segmentation and peristalsis. We've kind of talked about this. Segmentation is the mixing movement, and peristalsis is the propelling movement. So peristaltic waves are weak in your small intestine to propel chyme in a short distance. Chyme takes about 3 to 10 hours to travel the length of your small intestine. A strong peristaltic rush, resulting in the overdistension or irritation, moves the chyme through too quickly, which causes diarrhea due to the lack of the absorption of water. And then your ileocecal sphincter at the junction of the small and large intestine usually remains closed unless gastric reflex is elected after a meal and some contents are forced into the cilium. Alright, that's all for the small intestine, and you guys go watch the large intestine. Thanks.